Morning all. It's a little bit lonely up here today, so I'm sure you're all going to do your best to keep us entertained. We don't have a guest today, so entirely up to you. As ever, we'll be happy to answer all your questions. Let me just tell you there are 6 gold medal events today. Few broadcast figures from Germany, Saturday with ARD. The top 25 most watched broadcasts amongst 14 to 49-year-olds in that young age group was the Olympic Winter Games here, the top 25. And in the Netherlands, their afternoon coverage on the Saturday, 83% share. So basically everyone watching television was watching the Winter Olympic Games. And just a couple of we had a few midpoint figures that were quite good. So we're up to about 1.3 million tickets sold now, which is pretty damn good. Olympic social media handles have now generated more than 8 billion engagements. And then a very nice figure from Italy, and then I hand over to Luca. We have, by the end of the first weekend, almost 31 million Italians had watched coverage, so more than half the population had watched coverage of the game. So, some pretty good figures. Over to you, Luca.
Grazie Marco, buongiorno a tutti. Rapido aggiornamento anche lato mio. Ieri una giornata nuovamente positiva, 108.000 biglietti venduti, 14 discipline coinvolte, 12 venue di gara attive con l'assegnazione di 9 medaglie d'oro. Sapete che ieri per l'Italia è stata una giornata estremamente positiva perché abbiamo superato il record storico con 22 podi e con le performance della Brignone, della Vittozzi, della coppia Moioli-Sommoriva, insomma una giornata estremamente positiva per lo sport italiano. Presidente Malagò sarà oggi a Milano, mentre Andrea Varnieri, il nostro amministratore delegato, nella mattinata è a Bormio a seguire la sessione dello slalom speciale e poi si sposterà a Livigno. Grazie Marco, it's up to you.
Super, and staying neutral as we always will be, as you've mentioned Italy's record. I believe that Team GB also had a record day with medals yesterday, just saying. Okay, questions please. Anyone? Yeah, Robert here.
Thank you, Mark. I want to ask about a video that circulated yesterday with, I believe it was in Cortina, with one of the employees at an official store who was seen harassing some shoppers with an Israeli flag and chanting repeatedly, Free Palestine. So first of all, what's being done to prevent that in the future? In the near future, obviously, that there's a history with that, an unfortunate Olympic history. And second of all, to the, I guess there's thousands of Israelis and people of Jewish faith at these games. They're athletes, they're spectators, they're members of the media. What can you say as far as their safety if they want to show some flags or emblems or anything like that to show their faith or their country? What do you say to them? Is it safe?
On the specific, I'll go to Luca in a minute, but I would say I'm not going to comment on security itself. That's not my issue, but I would say, yeah, safe and secure and welcome. Support your team, support the Olympic values. We're very happy. So, Luca, over to you.
Sì, sul tema specifico del dipendente allo store, siamo stati informati. È un fatto accaduto 4 giorni fa. Il dipendente non è un dipendente di Milano Cortina del comitato organizzatore, ma di un subcontractor. Siamo ovviamente intervenuti nel ricordare il rispetto delle regole che sono valide sia per chi è un dipendente diretto del comitato organizzatore, sia per chi lavora come fornitore, come in questo caso. Abbiamo sensibilizzato, ma come sempre facciamo, al rispetto delle regole. Le regole presuppongono non un tema legato al contenuto, ma è un tema legato al comportamento e quindi evitare l'espressione di pensieri personali o commenti che esulano dal contesto professionale e lavorativo.
So I understand that, but is there any, from a security perspective, anything else being done? I mean, obviously there's a threat. I mean, there's a threat around the world, but here at the Olympics, any changes since that incident?
Honestly, we don't comment about security issues at all. It's for obvious reasons. But as far as I can, I would assure people from every faith in every country that they're very welcome here, and we welcome them supporting their team and watching the sport, and we hope they feel secure. We think they should and hope they should, but we obviously, we hear their concerns, but specifically on security matters, can't really comment, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Yep, any more questions? Or could it be a record sprint today? I know, we're saved. Reuters, I think, at the back there. Yeah.
Ian Axon from Reuters. A question for Luca, actually, with, I don't know if Luca can hear me, but with, sounds like record ticket sales and Italy doing very well in the medals table. Sorry, Luca, question for you. So with sounds like record ticket sales or ticket sales that are doing very, very well, and Italy doing very well in the medals table, are the games living up to your expectations? And perhaps you could just describe sort of the first week as we're coming into the second week.
Ma noi siamo estremamente soddisfatti, come vi abbiamo raccontato nei giorni scorsi, dei risultati che abbiamo ottenuto. La risposta del pubblico è estremamente positiva. Quello che ci stanno raccontando i numeri e soprattutto la crescita che giornalmente avviene è di un percorso molto lineare e che ci aspettiamo sia replicato anche nella seconda settimana, che inizia sostanzialmente oggi.
Okay, yeah, Graham, and then FRZ saving me from a short press conference.
Thank you very much, Graham Dunbar from the AP. Mark, just on some of the sort of TV figures and monitoring, just anecdotally, I noticed on the AP's sort of news app yesterday, one of the top 3 popular global news stories was curling. Not sports stories or Olympic stories, but global news stories was curling. And no, well, I'm not, but and using the HBO Max streaming access, for which thank you very much. Just watching John Oliver's show from the US last night. The first 3 minutes of his show was given over to the biathlon athletes and the kind of quirky things that the medalists have been getting up to. I'm just wondering, everyone loves feats of great sporting excellence, but I'm just wondering how much you're monitoring your audience ratings around the world shows that the sort of the weird and the wonderful and the quirky and a little bit crazy sometimes drives huge engagement, that people seem to love that from the Winter Olympics.
As the IOC spokesman, I obviously wouldn't use any of those adjectives about one of our sports, but what is always interesting about, particularly about curling, is it's one of those slow burners. We had of it every games actually around the world, that its kind of popularity it always explodes during the games, and that's a great thing, right, for any sport to get that kind of exposure, particularly amongst audiences in countries that don't generally have them. And I think it's quite difficult sometimes for people who aren't from winter sports countries to realise, those that aren't, see these sports sometimes for the first time. They don't see them on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and they get addicted to them, and sometimes they start playing them. So great for the sport. In terms of the actual figures and so on and the monitoring, we will have Anne-Sophie Vumar here the day after tomorrow to talk about TV figures and marketing. So I think that's actually a good question to ask about. You can imagine that all the figures are sliced and diced, and all those things will be looked at. after the games. But if you're asking me to say am I happy about a sport getting coverage in countries and with people it doesn't normally, yes, of course, obviously. Yeah, FAZ.
Mark, yes, Christoph Becker, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. Well, actually on the curling, I was going to ask, and I am going to ask, whether the IOC is actually following or closely looking at what seems to turn into a kind of free-for-all in accusing the other teams of cheating, or is that something that I'm sure the global news reach of those stories is in connection with some of the strong language that's surprisingly used by the athletes there, and those accusations. Is it something that's actually good for the sport because now people watch curling, apparently?
Not apparently, they really do watch curling, but I wouldn't, I mean, I'm not here to, I'm not going to have an opinion as to whether such a controversy is good for the sport or not. I mean, obviously our interest is that all the sports take part in the true kind of sports person-like attitude that we would like to see. Yeah, I don't have any specific, or the IOC doesn't have any specific comments on that particular issue in terms of judging, because that's something for the federation. But it won't surprise you to know that we do follow all the developments that happen minutely at every sport and every discipline throughout the games. We don't just turn up here in the morning not knowing what's been happening. But yes, as you imagine, we do follow it very closely. Yeah, question. Okay, yep, no, well, just we're on the, that was nearly a full start there. On the start.
Rachel Axon from Sports Business Journal. Question for Luca. What demand have you seen in terms of the merchandising by location? I'm assuming strongest in Milan, but maybe not the case. And then by product type or category as the games have gone on here.
Allora, presenteremo un report dettagliato ovviamente alla fine. Quello che vi possiamo confermare è che c'è un vero e proprio successo nei nostri negozi, con una grande attenzione, una grande passione nei confronti di alcuni prodotti specifici. Beh, la notizia delle mascotte è una notizia che è anche stata pubblicata, per cui sì, sono andate effettivamente vendute in maniera estremamente rapida, oltre le nostre più rose aspettative. Questo è un dato che per noi è molto molto positivo. Il dato dettagliato ve lo condivideremo a fine giochi.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll make it a short one today. Tomorrow we are back with athletes experience, so we'll have some people to talk about athletes experience, which I think should give you some good opportunity. But thank you very much for today. See you tomorrow, same time.